I'm Angela Catlin. I'm a freelance photographer based in Glasgow. I first started taking photographs in Craigmillar, Edinburgh in 1976 when local people were introduced to different skills and arts. I was first a painter and decorator, then moved to the arts team where I was taught on the job by professional John Brown. He was my mentor and instilled my love of photography. In 1985 I received a grant from the Scottish Arts Council to do a series of portraits of Scottish writers such as Norman McCaig, Liz Lockhead, Jim Kelman, Alistair Gray and George Mackay Brown. This resulted in Natural Light, the book, and an accompanying exhibition which opened at the Edinburgh Book Festival and subsequently visited Aberdeen and Fife. I worked at the Herald for many years before leaving 10 years ago to concentrate more on human rights and social issues. Working with writer Billy Briggs, we've covered stories from gangs in Guatemala to poverty in Haiti. Our latest assignment was Iraq and Kurdistan, where we met refugees in no man's land waiting to be transferred to IDP camps in Kurdistan, in the towns where families had fled from, and some men stayed behind to form a reserve militia in case ISIS returned. My influences are Henri Cartier-Bresson, who was a French photographer famous for capturing the moment, and American environmental photographer Arnold Newman, who looks at the portrait in a much wider view, giving the sitter more of a setting and adding a graphic quality. I enjoy using black and white for portraits, as colour I feel can be a distraction, down to the bones of composition, sitter and the setting. I decided to revisit the project in 2014 and was fortunate to receive a grant from Creative Scotland to do so. I took portraits of some of the authors from the original project as well as a new generation of literary leading lights, travelling from Shetland to see Jane Hadfield to Chicago for Irvine Welsh. I arrived in Chicago for the coldest winter in 30 years. Although Welsh would probably have preferred us to retire to a cosy bar or at least somewhere inside, I looked for a backdrop that said "This is Chicago." He stood stoically wrapped in his parka jacket with the snow falling and icy air blowing. Some of the locations were a joint decision by myself and the author. For example, Val McDermott, the crime writer. Val is a massive football fan and loyal supporter of Raith Rovers, whose ground is in Kirkcaldy. She was happy to sit in a stand and have her portrait taken there. Val is a great character, warm and friendly. I remember shortly after the game started there was a bit of commotion behind me as I was taking some more shots of Val. Ali McCoist, the former Rangers player, had arrived to watch the game. Thinking somehow I was there to take photographs of him, he moved seat before realising he was in much more illustrious company. Jim Kelman was one of my revisits. I had arrived early to scout the location and thought the canal near where Jim lives would make a good backdrop. I suggested this to Jim but was met in a nice way with a "No, we'll do it upstairs in my study." He was spot on, with the clock and the books giving a timeless continuity and quality. Alistair Gray was another stalwart from the first book. He was one of the first writers I contacted and I was so happy when he emailed me agreeing to take part. If he had said no, I think the project would have taken a massive dent. Amazingly, he remembered that 30 years previously I didn't take too long on the photograph and could I please do the same again. I was happy to oblige and he still made it onto the front cover. Another revealing and important factor was the male-female balance. There were 8 females included in the first Natural Light and 24 for the latest. Still short, but an improvement. Liz Lockhead, one of the youngest in the first book, evolved into one of Scotland's heavyweights, becoming Scotland's Makar before passing on the baton to Jackie Kay, the present holder of the title. Ali Smith, who is pictured on her garden bench with the neighbour's cat, has been shortlisted several times for the Man Booker Prize and has won the Costa Book Award for her novel How to Be Both. Portraits from the first Natural Light were tighter. This time I wanted them to breathe. I think having been in journalism and looking at the wider picture and seeing more of a story, it informs. So this time I wanted to create a bit more environment around the writers. There's some I have gone in more map of the face, but not so many. Most are urban landscape or environmental portrait. The Andrew O'Hagan picture was taken on a hill near his home in London. Here it's about symmetry, light and expression. It's a direct look at the camera, which works in this case. A lot of people won't have an idea of what Ali Smith looks like, or Janice Galloway or Andrew O'Hagan, so hopefully that's an interesting factor, seeing the person behind the words. That's what fascinates me as well, because I'm not very word friendly. I love reading, but I'm not very good at using them, and I think maybe that's why I was drawn to photographing writers, trying to understand a wee bit more how they use words. They all say something different using the same words. Incredible.